free to go into child's pose at any time, or whatever pose feels good for your body at this time today. Bodies change so much from day to day, and when you have an injury too, it's gonna look totally different, right? So your yoga class tonight, if you have an injury or a sore spot, it might look very different than what it would be like if you had none of those injuries or sore spots. Okay, I'm gonna record this on my phone, so it won't be recording any of you. It'll just be recording me teaching, because I was thinking of sending that out too at some point, just to have a backup video. And for example, like if Diana, if your back is too sore tonight to do anything, and you want to do this later in the week, I'm just gonna record it. Hold on one sec. Just gonna make sure I have everyone. Okay. Do your best not to hurt yourself any further is my request. Yeah, do your best to modify in a way that feels good, not necessarily to keep up with the class. Okay, so on that note, let's come on down to child's pose to start off, because I just want us to get into this position and have a moment to ground ourselves. You can do your legs together, or you can do a wide-legged child's pose. This usually will feel good on sore hips and sore back. You can modify if you want by putting a block under your forehead. So when you're coming down, if it hurts to go down all the way, just have that block or a pillow or your dog, whatever it is there. And feel your forehead either on that block or on your mat. Just feel as you come down and ground into the earth, that third eye pressing into the earth. And taking a big deep breath in, filling up your belly and your shoulders and your back and your hips, and then just sighing it out. And then let's do another 2 breaths here in child's pose. Try to fill everything up, and then on the exhale, as you let go, feeling more of an elongation in your spine, a letting go in your hips and your back. Inhaling again, and exhaling, letting that go. Now just start by kind of moving your hips from side to side, so you're basically just kind of swaying side to side. Just see how that feels for a second. Check in with your knees too. Might be hard on the knees. In that case, you could always just come up and do some cat-cows. And then taking your, if it's available to you, taking your palms and walking them over to the right. So now we're going to get a nice elongation and stretch in the left side and the left hip. Taking a deep breath here. And exhaling, feeling everything release. Good, and then walking over to the left. This time feeling that gorgeous stretch in the left side, in the right side. Letting it all go as you exhale. Good, and then coming back to center. And again, just taking a moment to feel your forehead touching onto the mat, onto the ground or a pillow or whatever you've got it on. Just taking a second to notice where you are and what you're doing, and if your mind is here as well. And if your mind is not, just bring it back gently. No judgment, no shame. Just bring your mind back into your body. And one of the ways you can do that is just feeling into your actual body, right? Not thinking, just feeling. Good. So now that we're all present, and this almost may just last for a moment, and that's okay. You can bring back your presence time and time again. So coming up now, let's come to our hands and knees, slowly making our way up to tabletop. Checking in with your body and just seeing how you're feeling so far. Do you need tabletop right now? Do you need cat-cow, or do you need something else? Your camera's off, or even if it's on, I don't care. If I look over and see you laying in Shavasana, I'm going to know that you are taking care of yourself, okay? So even if you want to turn your camera on but not following along, that's totally fine as well. But you don't have to. All right, so let's do some cat-cows just to loosen up our spine. So inhaling and looking up. Exhaling, folding everything in. Spine is rounded. And inhaling, again, looking up. Exhaling, tucking your chin, tucking your tail. Now if you want to get this more into the hips, you're going to push your right hip to the right and then kind of just stir a big pot with your hips like that. Just pretend you're stirring this big pot of chili. And feeling your hips right now. How are they feeling? Are they like exceptionally tight? Is one side different than the other? This should feel good. If your knees are hurting during this, you might want to use some more padding on your mat. And then switch sides, okay? So left. Oh, you can inhale when you're coming up and exhale when you're going side and back, if you want. It's not a rule, just a suggestion. So your circles can get bigger too, like they can be as big as you want them to. Just trying to get into every nook and cranny in your hips. All right, one more circle. And then coming back to neutral for a second. Taking a breath in neutral, just settling in. Maybe check in with your hips and just see, have some things already changed? And then we're going to push back into a downward dog. So tucking your toes, and this can be a bent knee downward dog if you want, just to start you off. This is just supposed to feel really good. You can move around in this downward dog. Maybe you're back in child's pose. Maybe you're on your back with your knees into your chest. For those of you in downward dog, take one more deep breath in and exhaling. Checking in with your neck, making sure it's nice and loose. We're gonna get on to a pigeon right away. So taking your left foot and bringing it up, your knee up in between your hands. Scooching just checking in with your right leg and making sure it's pointed back. It's nice and straight. So staying up for a second, if you want, while we're getting into it. What you want to do is make sure that your right hip isn't rotating out. You want your right and left hip to kind of be on the same plane. So you're going to feel, as you adjust that right hip, you're going to feel more of a stretch in your left glute and hip. So if that's enough, stay here after you've made that adjustment. If you want to go down to your elbows, then let's come down there. All the while breathing into your hip. Flexing that left foot to protect the left knee. For the last 2 breaths, you can go all the way down if you want. Or like me, I'm going to come back out a bit because my knee is telling me to stop. So I'm going to stay up here. 2 more deep breaths. Feeling into that left hip. One more breath. Good, and then coming back up. And however you feel like getting up into, you can go up into downward dog, or you can go into a cat-cow, okay? I'm gonna go into a cat-cow. So anybody who's in a downward dog, just pushing your hips right back up to the ceiling, pushing into your palms, relaxing your neck. Anyone who's in a cat-cow, just do a couple of those. From a downward dog or a cat-cow, bring your right knee forward now. Into pigeon on the other side. If you're on your back, if you're on your back right now, you could do a four-legged pigeon pose on your back. A four-legged. No, that's not what I meant. The one on your back, anyways. You can go ahead and do that if you are on your back. All right. So just taking a minute again to make sure that left hip isn't rotating up and you're not falling onto your right glute. Making sure those hips are in one line on an even plane. And then you can stay up here or you can come on down to your elbows. If that's enough of a stretch for you, stay here for the next couple breaths, or come on all the way down, forehead on the mat. Checking in with your right knee. 2 more deep breaths here. Inhaling, feeling your belly push against your leg as you inhale, and then as you exhale, feeling yourself sinking a little more into that hip. Again, on the exhale, fill your belly up so much that you can feel it pushing against your calf, your right calf, if you're there. And then exhaling, sinking more down into the hip. The right side is way tighter for me. And then you can gently and slowly push yourself back up. Walking your hands a little bit more towards yourself. And then you can pop back into that downward dog. Ooh. Or you can pop down into a cat-cow. Swinging your hips side to side, whatever pose you're in, and just feeling into them now. What do you notice that's different? What do you notice that's the same? Yeah, changing our bodies here through breathing. I love it. All right, let's keep getting deeper into the hips for a second, and then we'll get up and do some, oh man, I'm just looking at the time. No, we'll have time. Okay, so let's go into lizard, and then we'll get up and do some lunges. So taking your right foot, let's start with left foot, and bringing it up onto the side of the mat on the other side of your left hand. And then taking that back knee and straightening it. So we're going into lizard. You should feel this in your left groin area and your right hip flexor. And you can pop your knee up for more of a stretch, for more intensity, or you can leave your right knee on the ground. And you can even rock back and forth, side to side, feeling into that left groin and right hip flexor. I like to kind of go in circles, like I'm doing this little circular motion with my hips. Some people who are extra something can go down onto their elbows. Oh, I can't. Maybe with a block. And then you're really getting into that left hip. Make sure the knee, now the knee can be falling out a bit. That's totally fine. Just make sure it feels okay. Make sure your left knee feels okay. Good. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go into a lizard twist. So if you want, you can follow me here. If not, do something else. So right hand on the ground, and then bending your back knee and swooping your left arm back to grab your right foot. So you should be in a twist right now. And this is a great quad stretch as well. Awesome. Great job, you guys. This should feel good. If it hurts, just back out. Inhaling exhaling, you're opening your left chest as well. So feeling that openness in the chest at the same time. All right, good. So very gently letting go of that back foot, and then placing both hands on the mat and bringing that left knee back. Let's do just one cat-cow. Woo! Wow, my hips are feeling good. Quick cat-cow and lizard on the other side. So now bringing your left foot up to the side of the mat and right next to your right hand. You might need to scooch that left foot back. Good. So, and then you can, again, straighten your knee or leave it on the ground, either way. And I'm rocking back and forth because that feels good. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys to pin me if you wanted to. Oh well, you know to pin me if you want. All right, good. Feeling into that right groin and the left hip flexor. I'm moving this whole time. I'm doing circles and back and forth. Good, and then dropping the back knee. And if you feel like it, bending that leg, that back leg, and swooping that right arm over to reach your leg, not your leg, your foot. Yeah, nice. This is such a multi-use purpose pose. We're getting this awesome stretch in our quad. I probably don't have to tell you about that. And then hips, as well as opening our chest and getting some of that juicy twisting, rinsing out the toxins. So one more breath here if you can. And then gently letting go of your back foot. Good. Placing your hands on the ground. And if you want to, and you can, pushing back into downward dog. It might take a couple steps. Back into downward dog when you can, or child's pose, or cat-cow. Now I'm speeding up a little bit so we can get in the next part. So bringing your left foot up to the top of the mat, we're going to go into high lunge. Good. Okay, high lunge, perfect. Inhaling your arms, reaching them up to the sky, and on the exhale, you're going to twist to the left. Inhaling, reaching up, and exhaling, twisting to the left. One more of those. Inhaling, reaching up, and feeling that twist to the left, reaching your left arm, hand back, 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 back. Good. And then you're going to drop the right knee down. We're going into low lunge just for a second. Good, give your legs a tiny little break here in low lunge. But you can lift your hands up to the sky if you want to do that, or you can just have them on your front knee. Feeling that hip flexor on the right. We're really working into that. Awesome. Okay, so now we are going to push back into downward dog again. I get there in a couple steps. I'm cat-cowing and then going back into downward dog. Oh, one breath here. And then bringing your right foot up to the top of the mat. High lunge on the other side. Awesome. So we're reaching our arms up to the sky. This is definitely a balancing pose. And to make it even more intense, on the out breath, you're twisting to the right. Good. Inhaling, arms up, and then twisting to the right. One more like that. Inhaling up, and twisting to the right. Oh. Awesome. And then coming to center and dropping your back knee. Giving your legs a break. And now we're in low lunge, just working into that left hip flexor even more. If you want, you can float your arms up to the sky. You could also clasp them behind your back to open up your chest at the same time. Double duty here. Take one breath here. Good. Okay, from here, we're gonna pop back up into high lunge. And we're gonna just inhale up, arms up, and then exhale into warrior two. Sorry, that took me a minute. Exhaling into warrior two. We'll only be here for a breath. And then we're gonna go back into exalted warrior for a breath. So inhaling, exhaling, and then into side angle pose. And here's where we're gonna stay just for a second, just for a couple breaths. But what we're gonna do is we're going to have our, well, we can, if you want, you can move your arm in a circular motion. So you can either reach above your head or you can move it like this with your breath. So inhaling, big circle, increasing the shoulder mobility, opening your chest. Exhale. One more of these. And exhale. Good. Straightening that right leg. Whew. And then bring your right toes to point forward. So now your right and your left toes are pointing forward. We're just going to do a prasarita, and then we'll do that warrior two on the other side. So for prasarita, you can clasp your hands behind your back if you want more of a chest opening. So inhaling, opening your chest, and then exhaling, folding forward. If you get down here and you're like, that's not my favorite thing to do, take your hands and place them gently on the mat and just do a nice regular prasarita. I feel with hands on the mat, you don't have to worry about balance as much. Good, and then walking your hands a little bit over to the right, just to see how that feels. And then walking them over a little bit to the left. Good, and then coming back to center. Hands on hips. On the inhale, we come on up. Awesome. So now we're gonna go into warrior two on the other side. So foot at the front of the mat faces forward. And reaching our arms out into a T. And gazing over our left fingers. And we're only here for a breath. Inhale. And exhale. We're back into exalted warrior. Inhaling here. And exhaling, side angle pose. If your shoulder's bothering, you can always have your hand on your hip like that. And then we'll do those same circles if you want. So just doing a really big circle with your arm, inhaling and exhaling. Check in with your right knee, make sure it's over your right ankle. Opening up that shoulder and that chest. One more. Awesome. Straighten up that left knee. Oh, that feels good. And we'll do one more prasarita. This time, let's just have our hands on our hips. Inhaling, pushing your chest and your heart forward. And then exhaling, folding forward, and just feeling that awesome stretch in wherever you feel it. I can feel it on the outside of my legs, insides, everywhere. You could take a hold of your ankles if that's fun. You could just have your fingers on the floor. If your hands are on the floor, play around a little bit with your balance. Transferring your weight to the top of your feet, just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit. And just feeling how that changes things. Good, okay. Engage your abs, hands to hips, and then inhaling, coming back up. Awesome. I'll have us meet at the top of our mat. Just take a quick mountain pose just to get ourselves recalibrated. So just feeling your shoulders are relaxed, your spine is straight, chest lifted, abs in. Just gonna take a quick drink of water before we go down to the floor and finish off our journey. All right, so coming down as gracefully as you can or want, and we're gonna do boat pose. I like to try to fit this in at the end just so we can work on the core a bit. And for anyone who doesn't want to do boat, you could just do some crunches. Everybody knows how to do a crunch, right? So setting up for boat and just making sure your spine is nice and long and your chest is lifted before you lift your feet off the ground. And then once you're ready, you can lift your feet off, or you can keep them on the ground too. I can feel my abs working even just with my arms off. Okay, so we'll do 3 breaths here, but really long, deep breaths. That's 1, believe it or not. Oh, you guys look great. Yes. Shake, shake, and shimmy. 1 more. Stay with it. Oh, awesome job, you guys. And let it go. Oh, nice. Just come into cross-legged, and you can just come on down and just relax and bend right over your legs just for a second, just to let that go. Good. We will do, actually no, we won't do 1 more boat. We're going to come on down now to our backs, just rolling down onto your back. And we're going to do, I want to fit in 2 more poses, but I think I'll just do 1 so that we can have time for Shavasana. So let's finish off the practice by either pulling your legs into your chest and just kind of rocking side to side, or whatever feels good. If you want, you can do happy baby, or whatever other pose is whatever other pose you desire. I think happy baby always feels good on the hips and releases the lower back. Taking a minute to just come down from all the work you did. Good. And then when you're ready, stretching your legs out, your hands by your side, palms up. Getting into a position that you like for Shavasana, whatever you like to do, whatever's good for you. Good, feeling your hips release, your chest release. Everything is sinking down into the floor. Again, come back to your body. If you feel yourself starting to think again instead of feeling, come back and check in. How does your hips feel? What is still hurting? What is feeling a bit better? Can you feel the blood flowing to some of the areas we worked on? And just taking a minute to send relaxation into your body. If there are any areas that are still tense, focusing on those areas, just with your mind, to give them a little bit of love and release. If your neck is still tense, just imagine relaxing it, relaxing your jaw, relaxing your eyes. Imagine breathing in some white light into the areas that are still feeling tense. That white light is washing out those areas and washing out the lower back, washing out the jaw and the neck from all that gunk, all the tension. And I'll just have you take a couple breaths on your own. They don't have to be big, deep ones, just regular breaths. Just gift yourself another 30 seconds of time where your mind can be blank. Good, and then coming back to the room, wiggle around a little bit. You can turn your head from side to side. And then just coming up however is best for you, or staying in Shavasana, which last time I said that's a great option if that's what you'd like to do. But if you're coming up with me, just get into a seated pose. Good, hands are on knees. And then we'll all just take a moment to say namaste to each other. It's such a privilege for me to have you here tonight with me. Namaste, you guys.